Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back with the finale of What If Deku was the God of Death. And as some of y'all know, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the community tab, uploads have been sporadic, more because I've been in the midst of moving, stuff like that. I'm finally settled down enough where I definitely can get some uploads, so I am currently recording. And as always, I hope y'all enjoy the finale of this. I'm not sure what's going to be next. I might finish up Artist Deku, or I'll start a new Deku What If, or a different What If in general. I haven't thought of a Tanjiro one in a while, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a different anime. Maybe I'll do a Naofumi. I haven't done a Naofumi in a while either. So we'll just have to see, depending on how I feel. With that said, I hope y'all enjoy. And let's just get into exactly where I left off. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is standing in front of all of the heroes, the villains, and everybody else that showed up not too long ago. The battle that he just lost, the battle he watched himself lose, he's back here once again. How is that even possible? How does something like this even exist? A voice begins to talk in Izuku's head, as if it's one that he's heard this entire time. Izuku is getting a second chance to gain power further than anything he can possibly imagine. All he needs is one thing. A light begins to glow around one person that he needs to fight. It seems like it's a spiky-haired boy, one that he saw before, one that is attached to a god himself. Now Izuku knows that the power that he needs is from him. Once he strips the power away from him, from the god that is holding onto dear life for this young boy, then maybe, just maybe, he'll be able to control what he needs to control. Izuku begins his fight, and the fight continuously begins to go downhill. He's outmatched, outnumbered, and many others have counters to exactly what Izuku's trying to do, and slowly but surely he's wearing himself down. But with one foul swoop, he's able to grab onto Bakugo's face, dragging him away into the darkness. Everybody's confused. Maybe he's relying on hit and run tactics. They're not so sure. But just as they think of this, the glow of this bright light begins to happen. Izuku throws Bakugo out of there, and Bakugo lays out cold entirely. Izuku's aura begins to heighten, as if he just gained even more strength. The gods themselves are not willing and not normally available to have powers combined within themselves, but since Izuku is just a vessel, he quickly realizes that this was the step he needed to truly find out what is next. He then would look straight forward as he sees a different being, a being that looks omnipotent, a being that looks extremely interesting. This being looks as if it's just some sort of black hole, but at the same time, when you look within this being, it seems as if they can see the entire universe. Izuku is shocked and his eyes grow wide. As he looks to his left and his right, he can see transparent versions of himself standing right next to him. Each one of these versions of himself end in a different outcome, all ending in his demise. But Izuku stands there thinking, is this the one that he will live? Izuku's not sure, but that voice creeps back into his head once again, telling him to do it. Kill all of them. Introduce death to the rest of this world, and then they can conquer everything. Izuku, without hesitation, charges forward, ending the lives of many heroes in front of him. But just as he's doing this, other voices begin to creep into his head as the power that he holds begins to ramp up exponentially. Izuku's not sure what's going on, but he hears people, the whispers and cries of various victims, and on top of that, they're trying to tell him to stop. That the powers of gods should not be within one mortal, that the power of all of these gods should not be resigned within him. It seems as if Izuku and whatever being has been watching him and quote-unquote taking care of him all his life has introduced something different. It seems like Izuku has been being used as a vessel to just destroy and eventually conquer and to be disposed of. That's exactly what Izuku sees. But as Izuku stands there and as he sees this galaxy-looking being staring back at him, he sees something else. He sees a transparent version of himself in front of him, running forward, fighting off certain heroes and villains, but eventually leading to himself, well, slamming his scythe into his own chest. As he does this, it releases power beyond imagination, seemingly changing the world itself. Izuku isn't sure how he's supposed to take this. Is that really the only choice he has? But of course, that voice, once again in his head, tells him not to listen, not to realize his true fate, to realize his true destiny, that his true destiny is power, is to conquer. Izuku, not sure how to react, he does charge forward as he slices through a couple more of the villains/heroes, but he stops. He sees all of these different ways that this could end, but only one way leads to peace. But the real question is, why would Izuku even want peace? He could have everything and anything he ever wanted. He would begin to walk forward stoic, as if there was no version of him available to stop him. The timelines began to crash. The versions of Izuku that were showing all of the various versions that it could go begin to disappear, one after another, until there was only one left. Izuku walks forward and slams his scythe on the ground. Power begins to surge all around as it encapsulates the entire city. No, the entire country. Surrounding Japan entirely, Izuku begins to shout. But just as he does, his skin begins to crack. That red electricity begins to null and void around his scythe and begins to transfer to his skin, cracking his skin immensely. Izuku begins to feel immense amounts of pain as his scythe begins to tremor as well. His skin begins to crumble and change. He begins to grow in size, and Izuku is cloaked in darkness once again. Everyone around is shocked to see that he's changed. The Izuku that we once knew is no longer there. Even the one in this universe no longer exists. Now he is one with the god of death. Now he is one with an omnipotent being. He's all powerful. Now with the life and death, all power alongside him, Izuku, or at least whatever is left of him, begins to raise his fist. As he does, all the gods begin to resurface themselves and begin a giant power struggle. A power struggle among many gods. Everything that people in Japan knew and thought they knew now begins to crumble around them. Heroes try to stack up. Villains try to stop anything they possibly can, but the powers that they have in quirks mean nothing. Mean nothing to gods. Mean nothing to everything that surrounds them. Izuku, or whatever this so-called god of death is, begins to wield power that is beyond comprehension, beyond anything that they possibly could see. But nonetheless, the heroes and villains try and stand up, and the gods begin to think about uniting against the god of death itself. They cannot allow the death of the entirety of the planets. They cannot allow the death of Japan, cities alike, countries alike. They cannot allow this. If they do, the fall of the power among all gods will deteriorate. The hierarchy of power would crumble to dust. Izuku begins to feel this power surging through, and a large dark voice speaks through the vessel of Izuku. But just as he does, he begins to stutter as if the power is depleting. Izuku is gaining back control, and his body begins to form once again. Izuku now knows what he was this entire time. All he was a vessel. All he was an item. A piece that they would use. A piece that would be used Well, for the greater good of the god of death himself, not for the greater good of mankind. But it seems as if Izuku refused to let this being take over. Izuku began to see things while he was away. He was put away in the deep subconscious of whatever this being was, the god of death himself, the incarnate himself. He begins to see things that he wouldn't imagine. Whatever gods that are out there, whatever thing, whatever person, whatever people, whatever omnipotent beings are currently watching Izuku are giving him visions. Visions of a life that were different than the ones he's seeing now. Ones where he had various different quirks. Ones that he had no quirk at all. He had a loving family. He had a rival in Katsuki Bakugo, and soon many more things. But this time was blank. A different universe that he wouldn't believe would come true. A different universe that was all on him. As he's watching this all play out as if he was watching a television screen, Izuku wasn't sure what he should do. What he should go about doing. Can he do anything? He begins to think over and over, but as he does, he looks down to see the reflection of himself below. That same reflection would stand out from the ashes and stand directly in front of Izuku, grabbing his collar, asking Izuku himself as if this is really what he wants. What does he truly want out of all of this? He sees all of these multiverses, all these multiverses and universes alike, all are different. Many end with him happy, many end with him sad, many end with him dead. It's all infinite possibilities, but now there is no infinite possibilities for him. Too many mistakes in the wrong direction has led to a single outcome, and that single outcome is death. The god of death has been setting this up the entire time. Izuku believes he's defeated, destroyed, that it's over. But just as he believes this, he begins to feel his body dropping, falling, as if it's a continuous void that he begins to fall through until out of nowhere, he begins to see out of the eyes of himself again. He's back in reality once again, back in his body. He looks around to see that everyone is shocked to see him there, but they're not fighting anymore. They're waiting, as if they're waiting for the action of Izuku. Izuku in front of him can see trails. It looks like a bubble trails leading him to the outcome that he needs to do. He grabs his scythe and he follows that bubble trail. That trail down to the core. And that trail led him to slicing his scythe into his own body. As he does this, souls begin to emerge from his body, recollecting throughout all of the cities in Japan. On top of that, all the connections with various gods begin to get extinguished entirely. Gods themselves begin to ascend back up to the skies, back up to the heavens, as if this is what needed to happen. The god of death needed to leave. The god of death needed to reemerge back above and play his passive role, because enforcing death is not what needed to be done. Everybody gets a choice, and that choice was made by Izuku today. Izuku would fall, collapse, and before anybody can run over, anybody can mourn, anybody can help this broken child, it didn't matter. He was gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It seemed as if the gods had a plan this entire time, but that's not true. There's many ways that this could have gone about. Izuku could have decided to not go the direction that he decided to go. He could have decided to pick up that scythe and not follow that trail. Follow the trail that he made himself. He could have sliced down everybody in front of him. And there are many universes that occurred, but this is only one of them. Only one of them. In an infinite void of the multiverse, the god of death, Izuku Midoriya, what if Deku was the god of death, may end in various different directions, but this is the direction that it ends for now. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, and make sure to leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I hope y'all enjoyed, like I said, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.